Rey Fenix's WWE debut plans may have been revealed. Also, an injured AEW star is expected to return soon, and we have an update on a WWE superstar's on-screen absence. It's all coming up in the wrestling news. Hello everybody, Jack and Fraser back again with some more wrestling news for you on this fine Wednesday. We're starting off by talking about Rey Fenix, or Rey Fenix, I never know.
Rey Fenix, it can go either way. I say Phoenix, you say Fenix, potato. It's that sort of thing, yeah?
It's exactly that sort of thing. This comes courtesy of WrestleVotes via Backstage Pass Q&A, Fraser.
Yeah, saying scrap plans from SmackDown a couple of weeks ago, which would have indicated kind of a direction that they might have been going or might still be going with Rey Fenix. The report states, written in the show a few weeks ago before the Liv Morgan versus Jade Cargill match, there was to be a backstage segment with Nick Aldis telling Andrade that there were new talent coming to SmackDown and he'd want to work with them first.
He'd want Andrade to
work with them first. The segment, unfortunately, did get cut from the show. But it kind of hints and indicates that this might be the direction that they're going for, even if the segment hasn't made it to air. WrestleVote saying, however, it does indicate that the plan is Andrade, Rey Fenix.
That's certainly WrestleVotes' opinion, and it's one that I would be inclined to agree with as well, because I think if this has happened at any other time of year, people might be like, cutting that segment indicates that it's not going to be Andrade versus Rey Fenix, but because it's the road to WrestleMania and every show is packed with like these big storyline segments and non-wrestling segments, and there's so many things that can easily go over time.
That's exactly it, and it feels like those shows that this particular show was in Italy, so it was the first one from their tour over here, I believe it was maybe. That's a pretty packed out show as it was.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that those 3 hours for SmackDown feels long.
It does feel long.
Feels long. But it's nice that even if the segment got cut, there is an actual idea there for Andrade, who often at times in the past year since returning to WWE has felt a little bit lost in the shuffle.
You could also argue, though, that maybe it has been changed. This is just to keep all our possible options open. It could have been changed because maybe Andrade would surely lose, and maybe when that doesn't work.
It doesn't work for me, brother. Yeah, perhaps.
You never know.
Maybe the plans for Rey Fenix is something different. Maybe I want to see him, and I was saying this to Sam at the weekend, I want to see him in that US title picture. If we're getting a multi-man, which seems to be the theme of this year's WrestleMania, which I'm not against, by the way.
And then, by the way,
I'm quite happy to see Rey Fenix in that slot.
We could end Mania with Phoenix with one belt and Penta
exactly
with the
what
other.
we were saying.
I don't know if you know this, but they are brothers.
Lucha brothers,
you might
they
say.
do the lucha things,
yes,
and the flips and stuff, and I would like to see them both with titles.
I would like to see that as well, but I'd also crucially like to see Bron Breakker with the title still. So it's a tricky one. It's a tricky one. Yeah. Over to New Japan news now, and this comes courtesy of an exclusive interview with Tetsuya Naito conducted by Tokyo Sports. They got the big scoop, and it's since been translated by various different news sites in the Western-speaking world.
In the
Western media. So I'm not certain who to credit with the translation itself because it's been translated by many different sources, but Tokyo Sports is where this story originated from.
Yes, and I haven't decided what I will do.
No, it's all about Tetsuya Naito.
It's all about Tetsuya Naito.
He's revealed, basically, before we get into the quote, that he is currently working without a contract and is uncertain about his New Japan future. And I believe he says he's been working without a contract since around like the end of January.
That seems to be when like New Japan contracts seem to expire. They all seem to run out around Wrestle Kingdom, their biggest show of the year. It seems like, going back to the days of AJ Styles and Nakamura, when the talk of what they're doing next was like, okay, they've just had their biggest show, they've had this incredible match, and they're leaving.
And they're off. Same happened with the Bullet Club.
With Bullet Club as well, and it seems it's similar here with Naito, but he has been sticking around. Of course, the quote saying, I haven't decided what I will do if I quit, but when I was younger, I thought I would retire at around 40. I strongly feel that my remaining time is limited, and rather than continuing to be dissatisfied, I feel like it might be better to just do the things the way I want to.
Yeah, Fightful Select followed up on this report and said that Naito working without a contract could indeed be accurate, while noting that many talent in New Japan are currently working without deals as well, so it's not just Naito. He might just be the biggest name.
He's certainly one of the biggest names that New Japan has got right now. The other name that was rumored about not working with a deal was Gabe Kidd for a while. We're still uncertain on the case on that front. It is just baffling that they're not locking them down and having them under a contract when they're still being used quite regularly.
Well, I believe that elsewhere Naito said in this interview with Tokyo Sports that it might be him who's unwilling to reach an agreement because he's unhappy with the workload.
Yes.
And I fully sympathize with him because he has gone through some injury troubles recently, and it could just be a case where he's getting too old to work this style so often.
He's not a young man anymore.
No, and also the New Japan schedule is grueling, and his style of wrestling is grueling. And I think that maybe he's decided, especially when he said he's always had this idea of him retiring at some point in his 40s, he might be thinking it's kind of maybe time.
It's getting close.
I think I searched this before, and I think he's now 42.
So he's in the range that he's already said would be his retirement years. Hopefully, though, we still have some more matches in Naito.
Hopefully, but I wouldn't mind if they just if he saved it for the big ones, I suppose.
Yeah.
Elsewhere in AEW, an AEW star could be returning soon. This is from an interview with Good Karma Wrestling with Kyle Fletcher, who spoke about his real life partner, Sky Blue, and her injury status.
Yeah, now she's been injured for quite some time now. Has been absent from TV since that injury occurred. But Kyle Fletcher saying her recovery has been definitely challenging, but also rewarding in other ways, because as she got better and as she started going through her rehab process and she was able to get back into the gym, I was able to be there for her and help her through all that kind of stuff. That was very rewarding for me. Nurse Fletcher did good. It's now Dr. Fletcher getting her ready for the ring. She'll be coming sooner than we think. She has been an absence in that TBS mid-card title picture. I feel it doesn't feel like a mid-card belt really anymore with Mercedes on it. But like, she was a big element of that division with Julia Hart, and she was all over the TV. I feel like she is a missing element there. I
feel so as well. And I think she's one of the kind of one of those people on the roster who's very flexible in terms of, we've seen her work as just a pure babyface. Then we've seen Spooky Sky Blue.
We did see Spooky Sky Blue.
She's very versatile, and I think she can realistically feud with anyone they need her to at any given time. And you always need people with that versatility on your roster.
I'd be really intrigued with whether they bring her back and do pair her with Kyle and have some element of the Don Callis family and have her in that sort of mix. It would certainly be a big endorsement, and that group obviously gets a lot of TV time. I would quite like to see it.
You never know.
I feel like they could both play a heel dynamic quite well.
Oh, I would hate them so much.
I would hate them so much. Two really cool people. Yeah.
A WWE versus NWA match has been announced for a certain indie event over WrestleMania week, Fraser.
I was looking at the schedule for WrestleMania week this week. We enjoy watching the shows as they're going on, and one of the big ones, Bloodsport, of course. Feels like the actual Forbidden Door. Like they have all the companies involved there, and obviously WWE has Karrion Kross attending this year. His opponent was announced yesterday for Josh Barnett's Bloodsport, and he'll be taking on J.R. Kratos in a big WWE NWA match. There's a lot of talent on there. We've got Natalya from WWE. We've got Charlie Dempsey from WWE. There's a lot of people, and Pete Dunne, of course. It feels like this is a big melting pot.
Shall we run through the card that's been announced so far?
Yes.
So we've got obviously Karrion Kross versus JR Kratos, and then we've got Natalya versus Miyu Yamashita from Tokyo Joshi Pro.
Yeah, we've seen her at Thunderstruck in North and in Newcastle.
Oh, she's a scary
great
lady.
Talent.
She's like
in the ring, really good.
I compare her to like the Rhea Ripley of Tokyo Joshi Pro because she's bigger than most of her competitors and she kicks ass.
She does.
Whoa.
Kick ass. You almost fall off. She almost kicked you off the table, off the seat. We've also got Layla Hirsch versus Jordan Blade. That's going to be a fun one.
Of course. We've got Charlie Dempsey versus Shinya Aoki. Now, I believe if this is the same Shinya Aoki, Fraser.
Yeah.
I don't know how Charlie Dempsey's managed to swing this match, but fair play to him. Shinya Aoki is a real-life MMA legend, if it's the same one.
Okay.
He was a jiu-jitsu expert, and he could just break blokes' arms, and wore ridiculous, colourful tights, and once broke a guy's arm, and then stood over him, flipping him off. And I remember thinking, oh, that's very nasty. That was real.
That was real, yeah.
If it's the same Shinya Aoki,
I hope Charlie Dempsey's prepared for this match.
I'd rather be fighting Steve Aoki, the DJ.
We've also got Carmen Petrovic versus Micah.
Excellent.
And Pete Dunne and Timothy Thatcher.
Now that's a bit of a dream match, that for certain wrestling fans of a certain style.
I'm just gutted for this year's Bloodsport because I had a look at when it starts. Obviously, it's Vegas. It's Pacific time. It means it starts very late for us. We're not. It's going to be a late night watching these.
We'll catch up
with it.
Especially for that Pete Dunne versus Timothy Thatcher one. And just because we skimmed over it slightly, it's a big opportunity for Carmen Petrovic to show what she can do.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
And finally, we have the latest on the on-screen absence of a certain WWE superstar who's only been absent for a short while, but I think her absence has been felt quite keenly.
Yeah, especially considering she was quite a focal point of the division. Of course, we're talking about Nia Jax, the former women's champion. champion. She's been off screen, as Jack says, and WrestleVotes has sort of given an indication as to why this is. Simply, she hasn't been cleared by WWE. She was reportedly due to be cleared just 2 weeks ago, but it is uncertain, according to this report, if that has actually happened or not. The report continues and states that it's unknown if this is an injury situation that's keeping her off TV, but currently she's not internally cleared.
Interesting.
It's a bit of an odd one considering how much of a focal point she was, especially with Tiffany, and then she's kind of disappeared.
I think we all expected her to be kind of Tiffany's final feud heading into WrestleMania, and then Nia would maybe take a bit of a backseat role at WrestleMania herself. But I certainly imagined that she'd be involved on the periphery of WrestleMania and not just completely out of it. So it could be something that's just
especially considering, as I said earlier, if everyone's acknowledged that this feels like quite multi-person matches at WrestleMania, there's no doubt a slot for her that she could slide in somewhere. It just feels a little bit odd. Again, she was the focal point of such a long stretch of last year, and she's not looking like she's going to get a WrestleMania match this year. You can't pack everyone on, but also at the same time, it's kind of odd.
Maybe in a similar way that we've seen in the past, maybe they've decided like, well, she could be ready for WrestleMania, but it's so crowded now that maybe we just hold off and reintroduce her after the big show. After the big show.
Maybe we'll get a big battle royale. If we get an Andre the Giant women's battle royal, she could be the person to win that, but it feels a bit of a step down considering how good she was last year.
Yeah, she was massively improved last year and then carried that form into the start of this year as well. I think we could see it happen either way, but hopefully she's all right. And if she is indeed injured and that's what's keeping her out, then hopefully, of course, she makes a full and speedy recovery. Thank you very much for watching this video. I've been Jack. This has been Fraser. Owen Mawson is streaming on his own tonight, twitch.tv/Cultaholic at an earlier start time of 5 p.m. UK time. Have you got anything?
No, just check out the stream.
Leave comments down below and like the video and all that. And we'll see you very soon.